with new technology that comes new learning, which a lot of people have to have. And if you don't get good at AI, like it's not going to replace your job, but someone who knows it better might do it. The thing here is basically where you need to be very smart in terms of the new tools that are coming in. Just get yourself more, known about it. It's not like, even if it's as small as prompt engineering, I would say, if you know the game pretty well, you're going to do wonders, because in
Ravit, welcome to the Data Bites podcast. It is so inspiring to be chatting with you today because I think it was about a year ago I came on your show. And so it's always fun to do a show swap, but more importantly, to catch up and see what's happening in your world, because I know you have a lot of travel plans this year and are all over the data community. So thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
For sure, like Sadi, anything for friends, and definitely it is such an honor to be on your podcast, one of the best podcasts out there. We kind of get to listen to so many great minds, and obviously when you mention about it, I'm like, it's a no-brainer. Why would someone not want to be on your podcast and talk to you about everything that's happening in the data space? So I'm pretty excited. Yes, we have a lot of travel plans that we are doing for 2024, and talking to a lot of more and getting into the weeds of the tech, the space, data, AI. So yeah, happy to be chatting today.
So, one of the things that stands out about the work that you do is, one, it's so positive. I always see you all over LinkedIn and just like adding support to the community and building your own community. What made you fall in love with community in the first place? It's like, when was that like aha moment? Like, yes, I'm meant to build community and add value to community.
Very good question, Sari. It was, to be honest, when I remember, it was almost 5 years back when I was actually working for a market research company, and it was more on the lines where, I would say I was collecting, data coming from a finance background. I still wanted to do something around the market research bit, and I was like, okay, I want to do, I was actually preparing for the primary data, the secondary data, and doing a lot in the data space, forecasting the market for various types of products and services, and making sure that we are coming up with, say, 7 years, 8 years forecast plan, and make sure that those reports are actually being used by multinationals out there. And then suddenly I realized that there's such a huge space when we're talking about data. Everything kind of depends so much on data. So how much importance does this play? And this might be actually more than 5 years, like it was almost 2016. So this is 9 years, I guess. So yeah, almost that time, 9, 10 years. And the idea was to, obviously get into space. I kind of started realizing that, okay, there's so much that people are looking to learn in data, and how do you, get closer to it? And then obviously I had my other gig with Pack Publishing, which was a publishing company, and I was a community manager there. And it was where I was commissioning books from end to end, from, say, if there's a technology like OpenAI, like a Chat GPT, which has come in, and obviously around AI, people want to learn more and more. So we used to find those gaps in the community, that, okay, what's the most trending and most interesting topic to people today, and come up with an idea around, okay, this is what the book would be about from start till the end. We used to actually come up with a complete TOC as well, that what's the trending topic, why will this book sell, who would be writing this book, acquiring a author out there. And I'm pretty sure obviously you're writing a book, so you might also get those types of questions. Why this book, obviously makes it interesting for the audience. Why should we be publishing this type of book? So same as a publisher, I used to ask them. And that also got me very close to the authors in data science and AI. And once we kind of started publishing, almost 3 years into the game, I kind of realized that, oh, there's a huge market for learning, rather than you know being just at the fence, just doing something which is around the market research reports. Rather, people want to learn about each and everything. How do you kind of create a platform which is where, okay, you don't have to even pay like $50 for a book. I don't want to obviously question the publishing market, or you shouldn't be reading books. Definitely books is like one of the best things, you should be reading it. But if there are people who also want to consume from other people, like get like the best out of the 30 minutes podcast we do. And how can we do that? So that's when I realized that, okay, I need to start building. And obviously by then I was kind of, obviously in the community, because I was publishing books, I was amplifying the work that I was already doing, and understanding that, oh, there are so small pockets of communities that these communities are interested in, these data professionals who are so interested, even the senior level folks, everyone wants to grow in their career. And what's that thing where I can say that, okay, this is a good step in your career that you can take, but am I the expert? Can I do it all? Can I have like so many spaces filled in just by my knowledge? No, it's not possible. So what's the best way? Can I have the leaders in this space, the experts and the innovators, the real creators, who can come on board and talk about what they are creating, talk about the space, talk about, even take questions from the audience and put it in front of them. And that's where, that was like the point where I was already in love with the community, that, oh, this is such a huge community. They are like, for me, they are so supportive. They're so like, it's basically where you're helping them in your career silently. And when we started, it was like so overwhelming, because everyone's like, oh, this is the type of thing that we were looking for in terms of the shows. And not only just that, also, if you're kind of going out and sharing about a product, or if you're sharing about something where you're not being salesy, your idea is to share knowledgeable things. Even if you partner with companies, like till date, we've partnered with close to 118 companies in this space. But to date, we've made sure that, oh, no one's going to listen about the product if you just talk about it. Rather, make sure that you're talking about the space, how you're solving the problem for those. If you have an enterprise customer, if you have just a B2C customer, talk about the problem solving. And if the audience kind of feels relevant, they'll definitely be curious and buy a product. So think it that way. And but for the value addition of the community, just talk about what you're doing in the space. And it became so, like, in just 1 year of the Ravit Show and the community, it became such a huge community altogether. And I was like, I still pinch myself to think about, oh, have you done that? Do you feel that, okay, you've done that, but after a year you kind of start feeling responsible about it. Like, people come back to you, oh, what's new in the industry that's happening? Tell me more about it. Share some insights. Give us key takeaways every year. Tell us about the data trends in AI that are going to happen in this space, and all of those things. So it's more like a responsibility. It's definitely a good space to be in, and that was my first getting into the bits, and very less people know it about it. I think I only on podcast I talk all of these things. On my show, I'm more like, you tell me about your story and all of those things. So it's always fun, like, being into the space, like creating your own community since last 4.5 years, like a media and marketing company obviously makes a lot of sense. But uh for the community that we built, over 500,000 big data AI professionals into the game, I feel uh, it's just a journey that you have to get on and keep growing, because things are changing massively every day. Like in the AI world, it's every hour. You get, oh, OpenAI has come up with something like this. Oh, the next hour you wake up, oh, there's something else which has come up. So we have to keep with the rapid force. And as creators, obviously in this space, it's more like a responsibility. And then if you're passionate about it, then you're all over the globe, but doing the right things and meeting the right people and spreading the right word about the data science and AI community, I feel.
Yeah, so I hear three kind of key things from your story, which is one, you first identified a gap, right? So you're working in publishing and you said, hey, there's a gap in the market here. Two, you then identified your key target audience, right? Of like, okay, who am I going to service? And then the third thing, which I think is so important, is you said, how can we deliver value, right? Whether it's for our sponsors and the companies and coaching them on the best way, like, don't come in and tell me about your product and try and sell me, right? Tell a story, right? And then, but also, how do we deliver value for the community? And to me, like, those three things, if anybody just followed what you shared in your story of like, find a gap, identify your target audience, and add value, like, if you stick with it, it's almost like a guarantee success formula. Would you agree?
I yes, 100%. Like it's just obviously, and the passion. Like the fourth one, which kind of comes up, is passion. You need to, because I've seen so many creators doing all the right things. The first three are like big ticks for them. I've seen them, I followed them, and then suddenly it's like I just don't feel, it's like the imposter syndrome kind of fits in together. Like what happens to them suddenly and they're off, like they're off the radar, or they feel burnt out. In our business, obviously, we have to travel so much. In city, I know you might know it more than anyone. You do so much of traveling, and we were talking off air about it, right? That so many activities that we have to fit in with the bandwidth and still have that balance of, life as well. It becomes very easy if you're not passionate about what you're doing, that you might feel any of these, and then you'll be like, okay, I don't want to do it, and then just do something else, which will be great for sure. But if if you kind of have these three things in place, just add the passion to it, and it will be like consistent thing. And like I always say, it's the most cliche thing, but it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Take it easy and take it one step at a time, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be like super successful.
No, you make such a great point in terms of the passion. And for me personally, my passion of doing it has also changed, and I've had to modify that. At times, I can feel myself getting burnt out, and I have to take a step back and one, ask myself why I'm doing it. And sometimes that why also changes. And for me, what helps too is to then I try and look at an area. I love learning new things. So this year I'm like updating my lighting and my audio and my video call, updating all those things, right? So it's like for me, I had to find some way to make it new again, to make it fresh, and to say, how do I, amplify this message and find that passion again? I'm curious what you do when you fit our, because we all go through it, right? We all get a little burnt out and we have to recenter, realign, and refine that passion. How do you refine your passion in this work?
It's a very good question. In terms of, for me, obviously the biggest, even though I travel a lot, like, I, but still I want to take that travel off with my family. Like, I'm like, oh, call parents, call, my sister, my brother, everyone, some cousins, and let's just go for 2 days somewhere. Even if it's 2 days, it is a game changer. Like, think about it that way, where you have your loved ones around, because everything that you do is where you have your families interacted as well. Like, in the end, the limited bandwidth that you have, you only give out that much, and when you are with them the whole 2 days, it becomes like a refreshing experience altogether, and it's like, oh, I'm back to normal. I feel I'm sane. This is the real world, right? Because we are so lost at times. Like the whole week, I'm like back to back thinking. And if you're doing your own business, to be honest, people say that, oh, hustle game is not so good. That's fine. I'm not saying I'm gonna hustle like 7 days a week and I'm just gonna be on that run. But if you're in the business, or if you have a community, when you are in it, you get to know that, oh, Saturday Sundays as well is like somewhere you're doing something quietly. You're like, no, I'm balancing my life. Not at all. I'm not doing like work, no work at all. But somewhere, you are, even if it's in your brain, you're still doing something and you're planning things. So that's how we know that there's no break as such, which is, I don't promote such type of things. Like, people, like, passion is one thing and being hustler is another thing. uh, but I feel, obviously taking that break is important. And like you said, like, you love, setting up new things. I love getting new gadgets and trying them. Either it's for shows, I'll get a handle for the show, which kind of excites you, makes you happy at times, and then maybe sometimes play around with camera, do some editing, some fun stuff, which you usually wouldn't do throughout the work time. So it kind of keeps you a little sane, and puts you back to normal. I would say normal brain place, I would say. Yeah.
Well, and I think something too is where, and whether you work for yourself or not, working for home, everything all kind of blends into one too, right? So I think that's something important for all of us, whether you're working for yourself or working in corporate, to create those breaks and to take that time off. I know for me, I realized the same thing, which was my husband and I need to have time, even if it's just a weekend away, once a quarter, where we change our setting and can just focus on each other and have a good time together and kind of leave everything behind. And so at the beginning of the year, before we pick our trips or whatever else we're doing for work, we set those times because like that comes first. Because I know if I don't have that time, I'm going to get burnt out, just, as you mentioned too. So that's something I encourage everybody to do, is like prioritize that time off, because you're going to come back so much more recharged and energized and ready to go.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, you're so fresh back to the game. It's like, oh, this is what I missed. I need to go get back to work. This is what the feeling is like after 2 days. Otherwise, you're just on the run, and if you take like short breaks, it's gonna be like, okay, I'm just back. That's it. So yeah.
So you get to talk with all of the top leaders in data and AI. I think you have such a great perspective from the interviews you do, the conferences that you attend. I, you have like this bird's eye view, and I feel like this pulse on the environment. What are you seeing as the biggest trends, but also the biggest concerns facing the community right now?
Very interesting question, Sairi. In terms of, obviously the bigger pieces that I've been listening, like I already have been to conferences in 2024 as well, and I've been talking to a few enterprise leaders, also to a few vendors out there. And what I'm kind of figuring out is, obviously, with the market that we are in currently in 2024, enterprises are definitely very positive about AI. Like for those who are, obviously in data and now obviously have some feature that they have around AI as well, and how they have implemented. Like I know also vendors who are like, okay, we have AI, but then in the end it's a chatbot, to be honest. So we want to be like, an enterprise know it better than anyone, right? Because they implement it and then they're like, okay, this is something that we already do. I think it's just the same, right? But enterprises now are very focused. There are bosses in the enterprise world and the leaders who are, the head of data and, the VPs of data. Um, they know that they want to have something around AI. And there are definitely use cases that are coming out of AI. But how do you implement it with the budget you have? AI is something which is pretty expensive. Like you can't have, say a company of say a 50 billion, I would say $50 billion revenue would come up with, say, okay, we have a 20 million into our data stack that we put, but we don't have an extra million, or we don't have another 10 million or 20 million to have AI into the game. How do we carve out something which could be interesting? And that's where, the most trending thing happens is like how these enterprise leaders work is with the AI strategy, the enterprise AI that these vendors are providing. They would come back and say that, okay, this is how your data stack would looks like currently, and if we add in AI, you wouldn't need these for tools. Rather, AI will actually replace it. The budget stays the same. Your stack becomes way smoother, better, automated. Sometimes people say, oh, this is going to take jobs, but that's not going to happen. It's not going to take jobs. It's going to actually make the work easier, better, and it's just going to change the stack how you're looking at it. And that's how the data and AI stack comes into the game. So enterprise AI is definitely one big trend that I'm kind of looking at in 2024. Um, the other big trend I feel is around data governance, which is like a no-brainer. When AI kind of comes into the game, there's a lot of data that comes. We want to make sure that the data is governed, and it's going to stay for a while. Like it's not a new trend that we're talking about, but still it's going to stay in 2024. Like AI governance, it's just going to be like, okay, data governance, but AI governance, it's just going to be that way. Another big piece I feel is like we had a generative AI meetup in Bangalore 2 weeks ago, and what we did was obviously 8 hour of sessions, and there were multiple speakers. On each of those slides, what I saw was data quality in AI. So to be honest, when I was looking at it for the success of AI, everyone had somewhere a data quality that was mentioned. So I know data quality is one of the biggest piece in AI, which will be trending for a long, long time. If you are in that space, if you're doing anything around data quality, it's fun time for you guys, and it's gonna go big. So just stick in there and obviously do wonders. You also asked about a few challenges that I see. Obviously, with AI, there are a lot of challenges in terms of the privacy, ethics. Those are like the typical challenges which are gonna continue for a while until the AI governance kind of kicks in and says that okay, this is how you need to make sure that you need to govern the data if you have anything around AI in this game, and that will actually be a part of what these enterprise companies would be doing, because as they're looking to evolve, they'll also want to look into the challenges that this will cause. And a lot of companies will have certain protocols, certain things that they would put into the game, that okay, we want to make sure that our data privacy, the AI doesn't actually kill on us in terms of the data privacy or the ethics. So I feel those are the typical challenges, to be honest, that I see. But otherwise, I think you know AI is like the big thing. Like even though people think, oh, it's a hype, or we haven't been seeing a lot of use cases, like I've spoken to a few enterprise leaders who have actually created that impact. And what I'm kind of obviously talking about the budget as well, because most of the time the budget also plays a very important role for vendors to understand, for the enterprise leaders to understand that, oh, how do we have AI into the game with the same budget? That's not going to happen. So where how it's going to happen is carve out some budget out of what your data stack already has, and it's going to work. So basically it's getting real, and like my bets are big on AI. It's gonna do wonders. So just look out for it. I think we are in that lucky space. I'm pretty sure you know about the .com world, .com boom, and the others that we've followed always. So it's just gonna be where things are gonna move very quickly in 2024. But everyone's gonna be very very smart about how they have to do it.
Yeah, I also agree that I don't think it's just this hype cycle. There is a lot more value there. And, we're already starting to get some great research coming out on the value creation. There was a report from MIT and another one, I think from Harvard. They did gave ChatGPT to a group of consultants, and the performance gains that they saw was, about, I think it's roughly around like a 37%, performance enhancement and proficiency gains. And so for me, it's been a while that I've seen a tool come into the market that automatically has so much performance gains. But what was really interesting about the report was that after using the tool, people said they would give 5% of their salary just to have access to it. Now, if you're making $100,000, in the US in a tech role a year, right? That's $500 a month. So that speaks a lot of volume to just the value that is being placed. And I love what you mentioned in terms of how companies are approaching it. It's like, we know budgets are tight, right? The economy is still, no one knows, like, are we in a recession? Are we not? We stopped arguing what we are. We just know it's weird, right? And so this whole idea to kind of, replace what you have in your tech stack with these tools. What are you seeing kind of for practitioners? What are you seeing get replaced? And what's the new that they're adding in, or kind of any advice for people in terms of like thinking about upskilling and reskilling and what's going to change in the tech stack? Because that will change a lot what skills people need to have. So, what are you seeing on that front?
Very true. Good question. Yeah, I think definitely with new technology there comes new learning, which a lot of people have to have. In there's, I don't know, some of the biggest professors said that oh, if you don't get good at AI, like it's not going to replace your job, but someone who knows it better might do it, right? So I think the the thing here is basically where you need to be very smart in terms of the new tools that are coming in. Just get yourself more known about it. It's not like, even if it's as small as prompt engineering, I would say, if you know the game pretty well, you're going to do wonders, because in the end, if you have to actually talk to or say a chat GPT, you should be knowing what type of prompt do you need. And if you know that, I'm pretty sure you'll not be replaced. It's just that obviously the game that you were in earlier, it's just not the same, where you were extracting the data and then creating a story. You can now write a prompt, create a story, but then there might be, you're just taking it to the next level very quickly because that time is safe for you, and that's your value that you're bringing that through the typing, and you can do much more in other places. So basically shifting your skills from what you were doing already, but now you have a technology to do it for you. You're still there, and you don't need to be worried about that. Oh, I think my job is just done like very quickly, but you'll still have more things to do, and make sure that you are taking that data and you are making it big in other places, and do applying it to your projects. To you still, a human still has to be there. And I don't understand how people kind of get carried away when there are comments like, oh, AI is dangerous, or AI is going to take your job. It's not going to take your job so easily. There is human touch to everything. So I feel, obviously it's not as clear as an answer as a practitioner would like, but still I feel, just get into the bits of learning more about AI, and you'll already start upskilling yourself, and it's way better than what you've already learned. Like, you've done wonders in your job. You've written codes manually like for years. Now you can automate it, and you can make your projects faster. You can be much more productive for your company in less time, which is what the companies always wanted you to be. So if you're getting it through AI, why not do it?
Yeah, I don't know about you. I know you also teach as well, and the one of the first class I taught was a SQL for data science class, and I love teaching that class. It's done very well. Yes, on Coursera. But one of the things that I've noticed is, teaching someone to code versus teaching someone how to use an AI tool and prompt is so much more pleasurable. Like, it's so much more fun to prompt, right? Coding, yes, it is a lot of fun, but it's so much harder. And so I think that's the other reminder that I tell people is like how you've learned in the past. Like, you've already done the hard stuff, right? Now this is the fun stuff, right? I mean, I'm so excited with the new OpenAI tool to create videos. I'm like, "Oh, I can what? I mean, to not have what the editing process is like, right? So to not have that, oh.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Oh my God. I'm like, oh, I can put myself in Vegas, flying in the air just by a prompt. I would pay like so much money just to get that created or put it myself, so much time and effort, but I can just do it in, just with the prompt. Wow. That's the fun.
Yes. So tell me a little bit more about the classes you teach. I know you have a LinkedIn learning class and you're in the works of outlining, creating another one. What can we expect? What can people take advantage of in learning from you today on LinkedIn and what's coming?
Okay, awesome. So I already have a course which is around building a tech community, because people ask me this question quite often where, oh, Robert, you come from a investment banking, background. How did you even do that? And okay, fine, you moved your gears to, obviously working, but now you started your own thing. Can you tell us from scratch? How did you do that? And what's the time that goes into the game? What are the best practices? What were the challenges? So last year we came up with an idea, and LinkedIn has been kind enough. They were like, okay, we want to put that story into a course that should be helpful for masses, and for those who are the real marketers, who are the real builders, who are the DevRels of the world, because they are always on the runway. They're talking to so many people, but also wanting to do their community building at the same time. Where, oh, how do we bring them to the community that, like, say you talk to like hundreds and thousands of people throughout the year, and then it becomes like a challenge to even remember that, oh, when did we meet, what do we do? But when you have someone in place, that person is in your community, and then you know them more frequently, you get to talk, or they obviously react in some or the other way in the community, that becomes like a huge thing. So course, we came up with the course this year. Last week I visited New York, and we decided to do another course, like with the LinkedIn, and it's going to be an extended version, but I'm still in works in terms of the topic. I'm thinking around something around AI storytelling, which is the first time that I'm even telling someone. So people have heard about data storytelling, how does it work, but AI storytelling is something which is new. but I want to obviously get it into the game where it's more around the soft skills, because there are so many experts doing all the right things in telling you all the right ways to, how to fine tune your models and all of those things, which I'm pretty sure you'll get way better folks than me, and who can help you. But AI storytelling is something which is new, and which is still an unknown place for a lot of people like us. I want to bring that topic up. I want to make sure where, it's like a learning process for everyone where, oh, yes, we've heard about data storytelling, but AI storytelling is way easier, even if it's about prompt storytelling. Have you heard about it? No, no one has heard about it, but we always do it. Like me and Sadie talking off air, if we are talking about a prompt that, oh, if I give this prompt to the system, this is what the results could be. So what's the best practice of writing a prompt, or how to tell your story best way, or how to get the AI to tell the story in the way that you're looking for? Something on those lines. It's still in the making. I'm not promising anyone anything, even if it's on record. We'll obviously, there's a lot of process that goes into the game where the demand of people to learn about it, the people, the folks who are actually interested, if it's still a big market to be a course or no, because obviously then it makes sense to put time, energy, and effort. It might be okay after a year, LinkedIn tells me, no, this is not the right time, we want more AI to be more mature, where you can do much better story for the audience. But that's something like an option. We are still working on the part two of data community tech building as well. So that's another one. So I'm kind of, obviously working around in, I know, Sadie, you might know it better, that how much it takes to create a course. You've done so many. You write a book, like you do so many things. So you are the inspiration for all of us to, get on that journey and do the teaching, do the educational bit about what you're gathering, but also putting it in front of the audience for them to learn at the same time.
Yeah, and it's really hard right now in the realm of AI teaching anything, right? Because, when you teach something, as much time and effort you put into it, and you can be in the midst of writing and be like, oh, it changed again. Oh, it changed again, right? So you're like, okay, we need to get the word out there. We need to be talking about it, but also it's changing so fast. How do we do this? But I think you're really onto something with this storytelling aspect because, you know, it there's a miss in the market for that. And well, AI may evolve and change, how we tell that story shouldn't, right? There's principles of storytelling that can stay true across kind of the realm of time. And I think you're a great person to be able to do this because, having run your own show and build a community, you have to be a storyteller. So I don't know, I'm a fan of it. I'll tell LinkedIn, hey, I think we need to make this a go. And I hope to see this out in the fall this year. So as we wrap up today, I'm always curious to learn a little bit from individuals. What happened in your childhood that really shaped who you are today? And what lessons did you have from maybe the environment that you grew up in, whether that be the city, the country, the culture, that you feel has kind of influenced who you are as a person today?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, being in the world we are, we never think about, but when we actually think about, oh, where we were and what actually got us to here, you know, I remember from the school days, I'm based out of Mumbai, India. This is where I've grown up, and obviously, my schooling, everything is being done here, college. One thing that I was always, kind of looking out in this is like, when if you're in India, if you got a chance to visit Mumbai, it's one place which is exactly like New York. It will keep moving. There's no time for anyone. But there's always one thing that I've realized, that everyone has the time to learn. Like, everyone will make sure that, oh, I don't have the time to, do anything, like work, 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 work. But when it comes to learning, they'll always, take a minute and stop back and then say that, oh, in my schedule, I have learning as well now. And in my childhood, I would say somewhere, I kind of realized it very early, where people who speak or who are going out there and trying to teach others or trying to convey a message, if that is powerful, other people would definitely want to listen to that type of people, person, or they would want to learn, basically, because that's like the most inspiring journeys for people as well, that, oh, I'm just we just everyone's just the same, but how do you do it in terms of just going out and speaking to so many people? And I've asked this to so many people as well out there, and like, I've met artists, I've met stars, there are this is like Bollywood cities, I've met so many of them. And usually when I meet them, I'm like, what's the biggest thing that you always feel when you kind of talk to others, or when you go out and talk to a huge crowd, like there are thousands of hundreds and thousands of people that you talk to, and they're like, the only thing that I do is what I learn, and that's what I speak. And that's again learning, like, so, okay, from a person who is an artist, he has learned it somewhere, he's met so many people, he goes out and shares it with other so many people, so it's like a cycle that you are in. Now it depends, how do you want to fit into that cycle? You can be a learner, and you can be anywhere, which is fine, that's how you look at life, or that's how you look or want to be, and that's how you want to be seen as well. For me, I felt that, okay, I step up and help people in the way that, okay, all my learnings, can I also share it with a larger audience? And that is where I started. Like, it wasn't, I'm not saying this was planned. Oh, at the age of 9 years, I thought I'll do the Ravit Show. I never planned this, but something that you're always curious about. When you look at, say, even the politicians, like, I looked at politicians and I was like, okay, that's power. People listen to them. Why is it so? What did they do it differently? And they did a lot of different things, which was getting the learning and expanding the horizon of that learning to many more. And obviously you need to have that leadership voice at a level where it helps people to gain that trust, that, okay, this is something which is relevant, and at the same time you just again doing what you have learned in your experience. So that's what I felt in my early days, that, okay, I feel like if I have to be like even a speaker at a, I would actually go out to annual days and speak. I'll be like, okay, I'll be doing all the comparing. Like, you compare it with someone, and you need to be on the stage and all of those things. I'll do that. I'll go out and be the president of a sports club, because you need to be a good speaker to be a president, not in just sports, but also to present your club. And create, like, okay, this is a group that we'll create. So the community building somewhere started there itself, which you never realize. And if you kind of obviously grow in that, you can obviously grow in your career in some or the other way. It doesn't mean that you have to have your own show or do things. It could be where you are a CEO of a company as well. So because you have so many people that are listening to you, or that you are helping them to learn many more things. So I know it's a long answer to a short question, Saidi, but then I feel that was something which is very inspiring for me, and it kind of shaped up to who I am today, and I hope I just grow from here. Yeah.
Well, it definitely shows in the work that you do. You are a continual learner and continue to share what you're learning along the way. And so I appreciate everything that you're doing and adding to the community. And also, it's just such a great reminder for all of us, too. While that's something you learned in your childhood, it's still so relevant today, right? Being a lifelong learner, no matter what happens well, particularly what happens in technology changes, you want to be a lifelong learner. But whatever happens and how our society continues to evolve, I think it's such a great principle that even if you live in a busy city like Mumbai or New York City, take the time to learn, and what you get back will show tenfold. So thank you for all your work that you've done in learning and adding what you're learning to the community. It's been really a pleasure to have that voice here. So thank you for taking the time to share what you've learned with us today.
I love it. Thank you very much, Saidi, for hosting me today. It is such a pleasure to be on your podcast, and much more growth to you, and many more courses, books that comes out from you. So thanks once again.
And same to you. I'll be cheering you on, and hopefully one of these days our conference paths will align. And I hope everybody who's listening to the show gets the opportunity to be able to connect with Ravit at a few conferences. If not, tune into his show. We'll be able to include all those in the show notes. And to our listeners, a big thank you. Remember to stay curious and keep learning. And we'll catch you next time on the Data Bites podcast. Bye bye, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Data Bites podcast. If you're looking for more resources to further your data career or find your tribe, we encourage you to become a member at womenindata.org. See you on the other side.